recorded, and for those of you who want to review it afterwards, go back to the meeting and you can review it. You can find it in the chat section of the meeting. All right. So the topic of this is then how to get the most out of the Ocean Next software. And what we'll be running through is a brief history of the Ocean software, just so you know where that is coming from. We'll look at Quick Check, first of all, that being the basic software and the foundation of it all. There have been some modifications to the software with a more newly designed home screen. See what that is all about. License level have changed slightly with the release of Ocean Next. And we also look at the workflow, the intended workflow with the Ocean templates. What are we on about? What is it? Well, how could that work? How could that be put into place? Designing Ocean templates as well. Creating favorites is also another topic we'll look at. And what does Ocean Professional give us that Ocean Advantage doesn't? And if there is time, we'll see how the installation process. It's also a little bit new and updated, the installation for the Ocean Next, if there is time. Otherwise, we'll go into the Q&A section directly and take your questions. It should be around an hour. Maybe it may run a little bit over that hour, but I beg your understanding if that is the case. All right, history of Ocean software. Well, it's been the philosophy of RTI that measurements are made not on their own, or not just for the sake of making a measurement. There's always a cause for making a measurement. It could be to analyze the situation, the performance of an instrument or an X-ray machine. Could be to document that measurement that you're making, to save it for traceability, to track and trace and see that the unit is actually in operational up to operational standards. So for that purpose, we've offered software and measurement software and analysis software since way back. The first ones that we remember, many of us here, is Ortigo, which was launched in the late 1990s. So that's 25 years ago, basically. We started with software types. Ocean, first version of it was launched in 2010, with an update released in Ocean 2014, with the name Ocean 2014, by the way. So with the recent release, the name topic was, of course, should we call it Ocean 2020? But we landed that, okay, let's call it Ocean Next. And that was launched in 2020. And what's happened in Ocean Next? Well, it's the large part of the code have been rewritten to improve the efficiency in the execution of the software, of the code, to make it a little bit more quicker, more stable as well. Graphics have been improved. The graphical user interface has a better scalability thanks to that function. We're trying to adapt it to the Windows 10 structure of the other softwares, so for better recognition by the users. We've tuned Quick Check a little bit, figured out what is actually being used there, and focusing more on what the users were actually using it for. So we've adapted Quick Check for that. And them looking at the higher license levels, we've simplified the template and measurement, the file structure basically in Ocean, to make it a little bit more logical and easier to use. So that's in brief the improvements that we've made for Ocean Next. Now, looking at Ocean Next, I said you can look at it in two parts, where we have a display software on one side, which is then the Quick Check, and then on the other side, it's also the Ocean software is also a QA tool, so to speak, more than just collecting measurements. It's actually an analysis software and a tool that can be used to improve the efficiency in processes. So we'll have a look at that first display type software, which is the quick check part of it. It all starts in a new home screen, which looks slightly different depending on what license level we have. Here we'll go directly into the quick check button and start quick check. And like before, it pops up with a question where you want to go, where you have the guidance and the philosophy with the software is to guide the user through the measurement sequence. And that is still there. We've kept that, of course, there. So the first choice being made there is, if there is a choice, what do you actually want to do now? What modality do you want to use? So if you choose radiology, this is where it takes us. It gives us all the measurement that can be provided by the instrument in this configuration, in the current configuration. It's ready for exposure when we have a ready screen. We've made that green now, so it's easy to see. And when it's green, it's ready to accept measurements from the instrument. And here we've got a display showing the latest values of the exposure, like before. And we have waveforms in the waveform window, very same as before. The news here is that we put the grid on the same screen. So we have everything in one screen. We don't have to toggle between different screens to see displays and the grid where we have the measurements row by row. Of course, this is not only a display software, but we can also save the measurements, of course, for posterity and for documentation. We do that again, go back into the home screen where we manage the file, the savings of the file and the management of the files that we have. So we save it as a measurement in a folder structure, and here is also then the possibility of creating your own folder structure with adding folders and storing your data in those folders. And that can be, you can build folders according to clinics or customer sites, rooms or whatever, to build your own database of measurements as you go along. So that's all up to you, and the name of the file is also freely selectable. The home screen also has then a recently used list that will be populated as we move along, as you have in Word, PowerPoint, etc., for easier access. So you don't have to go into and open the file. You can access it directly here from the screen. There is also a possibility to preview the measurements if you'd like to do that as well. From here, by using the magic gesture of Ocean, which is a right click, we can export, right click on the file name, and we can choose what to do with it. And one choice is exporting the file to some place. It could be a file on your disk, on your desktop or a documents folder or whatever, or it could also be sent as an attachment to an email to send off to a colleague or to somebody else. That's convenient to be able to share the data and to make it more usable as a piece of documentation. There's also a request from our support team that if you have a problem with some measurement they have, this is a good way of actually getting support and efficient support. If you have a problem with a measurement, share it by exporting the measurement file. It says a lot more to our support crew than typing in an email, trying to describe it in an email, maybe sending a snapshot of the screen, of the Ocean screen. This is a better way of doing it, so that's a suggestion to do that. All right, Reporting is also a possibility, just to get a simple report out of your measurement as you're doing it in Quick Check. It's quite a simple report. What you get is the measurement data, the test date when you were did the test, and when it was printed. That's basically what you get by default. You can add if there's something fishy going on, something happening with the waveform that you see. This looks odd. I'd like to save this. There is a possibility to do that by locating that file icon up on the side and choosing there. It may be difficult to see, but it says include waveform in report. And if you do that, the highlighted row on your grid, the corresponding waveform will be added to your report. So that could be useful when you have maybe some strange behavior of your dose rate curve or your KB curves that you want to document for posterity to see, is it getting worse next time around, or is it the same as before? And of course, you can have multiple waveforms included. You just need to highlight the rows and select the waveform inclusion in the report. In the waveform window, there is a possibility of utilizing the cursors. There are two vertical cursors and a horizontal cursor as well that you can use for, well, if you want to explore and measure and have a closer look at the file. The waveform window may be a little bit small, so you can locate the magnifying glass, punch that one, and you'll enlarge the window. And in here, you can go even deeper by clicking, dragging, and letting go to mark the area you want to view more closely. So it's a zoom function that you can utilize for that. So it might come in handy for troubleshooting cases. By default, the software is shipped with gray unit. If you want to change that to some other unit, locate the unit, hover over it with a cursor, and right click, and you'll get a drop-down menu of different units, other units. Milliröntgen, for instance, might be something that you want to do. Changing decimals goes the same way. Hover over the decimals, the numbers, right click, and you get a drop-down menu with decimals. So going from 4 decimals here, you can drop it down to 1 decimal, and that's fine. These changes, of course, also affect the grid. So there's you only have to do it in one of these areas. A new feature that we've released is the possibility to increase the display size if you, for some reason, want to maximize the screen, the display size. Locate it and click on it, the name of the display, the title of it, and that display will then be covering as much as area as possible. Might come in handy if you want to trace something and want to focus on one of the measurements. Click again on the title to minimize it and then to return it to a normal size. All right. Another new feature is the possibility of adding site information to your reports, and we can find that by, it says room and equipment, room/equipment on this tab. So if we activate that tab, we see information here that is site related. So where we can, if we would like to, add information about the site, about the generator, and about the tube for documentation purposes, traceability. And whatever we enter in here will then be presented on the report. So we'll have site information on the report with the address and everything like that. On the other one is the tested equipment, giving us the serial number and the data on the generator that we entered, and then, like before, the measurement data that we have there. So that could come in handy in some cases. Also, we've kept the possibility of exporting data to Excel. We know that many of our users still use Excel for their analysis purposes, and of course for them it's easy to be able to use Excel. So there is a button that says connect to Excel. Activating that one, we can send data or connect to a workbook. They work in slightly different ways, but the end result is putting data into an Excel spreadsheet where the user can link into a formula to perform an analysis of the measurement data. Including the waveforms here is optional, by the way. So it's you have 3 different sizes you can select from. So that's kept there. So there is a possibility. It is included. There's nothing extra that you need to worry about. It can be done this way, either by dumping or by sending the data exposure by exposure into an Excel spreadsheet. Those 2 options are there, like before. Also, with the quick check from the beginning, we tried to design it for plug and play a little bit. So what happens here is that if we're using external probes, there is a plug and play functionality of sorts, so that when the system detects a change in the configuration, for instance, if we attach an external probe, it will react and give us then choices that are relevant to that configuration. So here, an example: if we attach an external probe, we have a possibility of using both or either of the 2 probes, and we'll look at it the different options there. If we, for instance, choose only the external detector, if that is an RTI dose probe, sorry, so if we attach an RTI dose probe, this is this screen that we'll see. We'll only get the data from the dose probe, which is dose rate, and time. That's all we get from the dose probe. And it works like the other ones. You get the waveform, the dose rate waveform, in the waveform window. If we choose to use both internal and external, of course, we'll get all the data we have from the Piranha, which is the internal detector. And we'll also get the data from the external dose probe, which is dose and dose rate in addition. And of course, we'll get all the waveforms in the waveform window, all 3 of them in different colors to decode. If we use a mass probe, this is what it could look like. Again, only the MA, mass, and time data, because that's all the mass probe will read. If we have it connected together with a Piranha and have a Piranha in the beam, we'll be able to see this view. Everything from the Piranha plus the data from the mass probe. So it depends a little bit on what external detector you choose to use. Now, if we choose the ion chamber, the pencil ion chamber, it's connected via the chamber adapter, and we'll then have a choice of selecting the whatever has been prepared. So it could be a pencil ion chamber. If that is the case, we'll only be measuring in this, getting this kind of data, because for CT ion chambers, all we do is measure in a phantom, and these are the data that we'll be getting. There's never situation where we measure more than the CT dose values. All right. So that's a little bit of the plug and play functionality. All right. Then moving on to the other modalities, we were looking at radiography only. We will start then at looking at mammography to see what situations we have there. If the instrument can measure mammography, it will of course give us that choice. And going into mammography, it's grouped, the selections there are grouped by manufacturer. So that we have to make that choice first. Which manufacturer are we measuring on? And the reason for that is that we've grouped the different beam qualities, the different calibrations that are available for these users under the different manufacturers. So to make the choice slightly easier. If we look here at, for instance, at GE Healthcare, we've grouped the calibrations according to type of mammo machine. The Pristina, they have their beam qualities. Senograph and Essential, they have theirs. Crystal have their calibration. So to make that choice a little bit easier, just looking at the beam qualities may not be as helpful. And the reason for us to have so many different calibrations is that we'd like to be as precise as possible when it comes to both kV and dose. The tolerances for dose are quite generous, so that's not too complicated, but the kV tolerances are tighter. So that's why we have chosen to go to have many beam qualities and tweak them and test them specifically for certain machine types in many cases to give us the highest possible accuracy also on the kV side. And so that's the background for it. But once we come through this, we select, okay, what machine are we working with? It's a Selenia Dimensions, fair enough. We go in there and we choose which beam, which calibration we have. We need to adapt the filtration. Is there a paddle in the field or not? And once we do that, sorry, we then have the measurement window with kV, dose rate, time, and HVL, and with the display waveform window and the grid for all purposes.